On behalf of Ukatsu and Columbia Public Schools, we'd like to welcome you to this esports event. We understand a few of you may be new to League of Legends and esports, so here's a quick introduction. First things first, esports is specifically the competitive sector of video gaming, where teams recruit players to compete head-to-head, and in the past few years, it's been gaining a lot of traction. Big investment money is going into top teams to recruit the best professionals in the world. Celebrities like Shaquille O'Neal, Alex Rodriguez, Steve Aoki, and even Ashton Kutcher are putting money into professional teams or esports software. As the professional scene grows, so do the scenes underneath it. Colleges are now offering scholarships to talented players, and programs like Ukatsu are serving youth levels. Esports covers a wide variety of video game titles, but none are currently bigger than League of Legends, the games that these kids are playing today. League of Legends is a free-to-play, team-based computer game. This is the map, Summoner's Rift. Think of it as the field or court that every competitive game of League is held on. Teams start at two opposing corners of the map, and the game is won when one team successfully pushes all the way to the other team's base and destroys the main structure, called a nexus. There are 3 lanes on Summoner's Rift: a top lane, a middle lane, and a bottom lane, as well as a forested area between the lanes called a jungle. To get to the base, each team will have to deal with a number of defenses. This includes minions, defensive towers equipped with turrets, and of course, the opposing team members. Players on each team each control one character throughout the entirety of the match. They pick their characters before the match even starts, and with over 130 characters to choose from, each with their own unique abilities and attributes, finding the right blend of characters is vital to a balanced team composition. All players begin the match at level 1, with the same amount of gold to purchase items to boost their individual statistics. Killing minions and jungle monsters, destroying towers, and of course, killing enemy team players awards gold and experience points to level up and buy more powerful items. Teams must work together to earn gold, take down objectives, and ambush enemy players so that they can eventually reach the enemy nexus to win. Each match usually takes anywhere between 25 to 45 minutes, though close standstills can last even longer. We've only scratched the surface of what there is to know about League of Legends, but that should cover all the basics for now. Pay attention to what the play-by-play and color commentators have to say, and you'll pick it up in no time. Thanks for watching our introduction to League and esports. We hope you enjoy the match.
And we hope you enjoyed that video that we play before every match in the Ukatsu Esports League to help those who are new to the game, or maybe a parent or guardian who's not quite familiar with League of Legends. Besides the point, my name is Joe. With me today is my co-caster Ben Brooks. Again, welcome to the Ukatsu Esports Arena. We are live in a studio. Teams are both here, parents are here, staff is here, even other high schools are here to spectate. We have tonight, let's hear it for Rockbridge High School, everyone. And of course, our home team tonight will be Hickman High School. Let's hear it for them. As we said earlier, this is a 9-week live LAN season, unlike anything you've ever seen in the nation. We are arguably one of the first in the entirety of the United States to do this, and this is made possible by our sponsors, our title sponsor being Columbia College, Veterans United, Armstrong Teasdale, Hawthorne Bank, and of course, Columbia Public Schools, as well as Jefferson City Public Schools in the mid-Missouri area. That's all about now. How are you feeling today, Ben?
I'm feeling pretty good. This is the first game to start off week 2. This is a very heated rivalry between Hickman and Rockbridge. They were a lot of fun to watch last year in the exhibition season, and I think we're about ready to get in picks and bans.
Absolutely. So. Let's not wait any longer. Folks, let's start up the lobby. Okay, Ben, let's talk about this matchup. This is week 2 in the 9-week season. What did we witness week 1 with these teams?
So both of these teams they both secured their first victories for both B squads, both Hickman and Rockbridge. They beat Battle and Jefferson City. So both of these teams are sitting at 1-0. Now, of course, walking away tonight, one of these teams is going to walk away with the first loss of the season. Now, I will say both teams looked, honestly, in the B games, they looked pretty dominating towards the finish there. Everything looked pretty close at the beginning, but for the most part, these teams closed out their games pretty convincingly. So I'm not really sure right now who has the upper hand. I will say, though, Hickman does have much more experienced players on their B squad. They have 3 members that were on the A team last year in the exhibition season.
Absolutely. If you guys did not know or are watching this stream from home, Hickman versus Rockbridge, this is a classic high school matchup. They have had their Providence Bowl games between these 2 high schools in the district. So there's a lot of heat and tension going into this matchup as we bring it into the esports scene. Let's take a look at our picks and bans so far. Again, this is the phase of the match where you select the champion you want to play and ban out the opposing team's champion. So both coaches have been doing a lot of research prior to the game to see which player is proficient at what champion and banning that champion with intention to say, hey, no, they're way too strong. They're way too good at that champion.
And so on on Rockbridge sides, we see 2 bans that make a lot of sense to me. We see the Galio pick, which is targeted at Alec Alejero James, a mid laner for Hickman High School. He's played that a lot previously in scrims in the last exhibition season, and very proficiently last week against Jefferson City. He was 11-1 at one point in that game. He was carrying the team as his Galio, as well as the Zach band coming out, the Big Green Blob. That's also a comfort pick for Nathan Nelmore, the jungler, also for Hickman. So there are 2 comfort bands taken away from Hickman on this side of the ball. Now we're looking.
Yep, we're about to see our first pick going to Braum. He is a tanky Guardian champion that wields a shield to protect his allies. That will most likely be going to their support player, which is Mini Tristan, is his name. He is a sophomore playing for Rockbridge High School. Now we have our other pick.
Scion, also I'm assuming that's probably going to go top. Very meta pick in the top lane right now. Sion's a really good pick. He'll be played by Tim A. That's pretty good. Peters. He actually played support last week for Hickman. Another thing I want to note as well, Hickman actually had some roster changes, some roster mix-ups. Last week, their starters for the B team, Griffin and Nathan, were not present. They were actually at a play, or a musical was it? Yeah, it was a musical for Hickman High School, so they weren't able to play last week, and they'd use some subs. So they are actually now for the first time playing this week in week 2.
Yeah, we love supporting the arts, but here we are, equally as excited to see our 2 players for Hickman B team compete tonight with a Hecarim pick. How do you feel about that Hecarim pick?
Yeah, so I don't see that too often right now in the meta, but I think it really fits Nelmore's style of play. He likes engaging for his teams. He likes having that CC, being that initiator. So I think Hecarim is a very good pick for Nelmore. On the other hand, we see the Zoe and the Jax pickup for Rockbridge's side. We're getting into the second round of bans. Jax is a pick that's recently Jordan, the jungler for Rockbridge, has just picked up. He just recently started playing the role of jungle, and Jax is a pick that he's somewhat comfortable on. That makes a lot of sense to me. Does have CC at least, so we can at least apply some pressure early on with these ganks. We also see the Zoe pick, which recently was nerfed, but I also think it might be a comfort pick for Dawson, who also isn't actually a mid lane main. He's actually a support main, but did hear that he wanted to play Zoe. Also actually heard that the opponent mid laner, Alec, was going to play Zoe, so maybe they took
that was a
from him.
sniped pick away from Alec, the mid laner for Hickman High School. We see a lot of comfort picks, like you mentioned earlier. What can we expect to be picked from the rest of the team? What do you think? What are your calls out?
Well, let's see. Actually, that's what I was actually about to mention here. Rockbridge just banned away Quinn, not your traditional AD carry. AD carry being the marksman position, but Quinn was actually the pick that Tom Lawless. What an excellent name there, Tom Lawless. That is actually his name, ladies and gentlemen. He actually played Quinn last week in the AD carry position, and I'd say again, he had a pretty good showing on it. So again, not your traditional AD carry, but that's been taken away. As well as we see 3 very comfortable AD carry picks. Tristana, the
Bans.
Yeah, bans, I mean. The Tristana, the Varus, as well as the Xayah. Those are very meta picks. Makes sense to ban away 4 AD carries. I guess they're trying to target that position since both teams have not selected their marksman yet.
Tom Lawless then picking Ashe, the classic marksman character. She's a frozen bow wielding character that can slow with each shot she takes. Then, of course, we have Jinx on the other side with their AD carry pick. Last but not least, a Darius pick to round out the top lane for Rockbridge.
Yeah, I like the Darius pick into the Scion. Scion's very meta, but at the same time, Darius does very well into tanks. Scion, being the top lane pick for Hickman, is a very tanky champion. Now, Darius does usually well into melee tanky champions. He's able to get those stacks that allow him to deal more damage. Darius was also the pick that Lee Tolnir, Frozen Maelstrom, the top laner for Rockbridge, he selected last week to... I mean, he had actually a huge outplay. He's actually highlighted as one of our first instant replays of the season. Shout out to Frozen Maelstrom. Hopefully we see a play like that again. very
Yes.
excited to watch him. Senior for Rockbridge High School. On the other hand, we see the Ash and the Rakan coming out for Hickman's side. We're about 40 seconds away before the players get into the game, but I want to tell you guys, for all of you guys who don't already know, we will have a 3-minute spectators delay. It's just how the game works. So we'll be 3 minutes behind the actual players. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the players and the comps while they get into games. So just so you notice when you see the players are talking a little bit and they start playing.
Yeah, let's talk about that last pick, the Rakan. I noticed a huge crowd reaction on my right side here. It seems like the crowd did not like the pick. I'm curious to see how that's going to work out for for Hickman.
Yeah, for reference, it was the Rockbridge side that made the kind of the groan of disappointment. And I will say, Hickman's team comp has a very strong identity, in my opinion, right here. They have a lot of CC. They have a lot of ways to initiate these fights, and they might run away from it if they find these picks. So you have Ash Ultimate, which is a giant arrow, which stuns an opponent. We have Charms coming out of Ari, which also CC, crowd controls opponents, and then huge initiation coming out from the Scion and the Hecarim, as well as the Rakan. Hickman has a very, very good identity to their team composition, and I think in team fights, they might take it away if they get the right picks. On the other hand, how do you feel about Rockbridge's comp?
So taking a look at Rockbridge comp, there's nothing that's nothing out of the ordinary. You see, again, the comfort pick from Frozen Maelstrom, played by Lee Tolner in the top lane. He made fantastic plays last game. Last week, I should say. Got a 2-versus-1 anti-gank. Overall, really great picks. You have stuns, you have CC. CC is crowd control abilities. That means that you can lock down an opponent. Stacking those CC abilities is critical if you want to find the right pick. Of course, in the jungle with JT Plas, played by Jordan Taylor. He's got a big cane staff that he can twirl around and stun the opponent. Finding the right ganks is crucial, and maybe even invading the Hecarim early game, because that's your opportunity. That's where Hecarim does not really thrive, is that early game leash through his first jungle clear. And maybe with that opportunity, JT can find something, snowball early, start the split push, and maybe that's something that Hickman can't deal with.
Yeah, I do believe that Rockbridge does have options with their compositions. They have a lot of hyper carries in the sense, in these team fights, any one of their players might be able to run away with it, and we'll see how it really shakes out here. These are two pretty experienced teams in regards to the B team rosters. These are two rosters that don't necessarily have newer players. Some schools with their B team rosters, they have very new players, brand new
in some
players
cases,
to the teams.
yes.
And so it's going to be interesting to see exactly how these teams execute their compositions.
Right. In our books, with both Ben and I, we have found that this is the most anticipated matchup. We know that B team Hickman versus Rockbridge is going to be the closest game, or at least we predict that it will be the closest game we've seen all season, and we will maybe continue to see. Going back to our matchups right here, you said you have the hard engage with Rockbridge's selection of Scion, yeah, you're right. Sorry. Scion, Hecarim, Ari, Ash, Rakan, they all jump right into it, hoping to find a pick or hoping to start a team fight. We only have a few abilities that'll disengage from that. Brahms' ultimate is the one that comes to mind. But I think that the Rockbridge team might have more consistent damage once that engage happens.
Yep. I think it's really going to be about Frozen Maelstrom's ability to hopefully pull ahead against this Scion, as well as Jinx Riley's ability to position herself correctly throughout these fights. Jinx is a huge hyper carry, and if Riley can position herself and not get engaged on by the Rakan, by the Hecarim, or even picked off by an Ash arrow, then Riley can run away with these fights as the Jinx hyper carry.
Absolutely. We were hearing a countdown from our audience. You're more than welcome to count down, ladies and gentlemen. This is exciting stuff. Again, the first live League of Legends season for high school students in the nation. And we're going to be honest here. Ukatsu is a two-person, handful of volunteers type of operation. We hope to grow this to be a nationwide company so that you can serve the kids, the parents, the students, and the teachers, all a part of the high schools.
So again, last but not least, I want to hear exactly what your prediction is, Joe. Ooh. Who do you got? You got Rockbridge B or do you got Hickman B?
Oh, man. If you were to give me an option right now, that engage from Hickman is so scary. Again, we want to reiterate, for those of you who are new to watching League of Legends, the champions that Hickman have selected, their ultimate abilities. These are abilities that they can use every maybe few minutes, right? These are really powerful abilities, like the Ash played by Tom Lawless, fires a gigantic frozen arrow that will stun the first person that arrow hits across the map. Same thing happens with somebody like Scion, who can charge halfway across the map and start an initiation. We'll see if a team like Rockbridge is able to communicate to say, hey, they're trying to find a fight. We need to be prepared for this team fight and hopefully protect the squishier characters. That would be Riley playing Jinx tonight. It'd be Dawson playing Zoe. If they can protect those squishy characters who do so much damage, then I think we'll be okay. Then we'll see an even team fight. But if they are not ready for it, Hickman's is very scary.
And without anything more, I guess we're going to hop right into game here. Oh, 1 second here. All right.
There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the game has started. Those of you who are watching at home, thank you for watching. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and share to our Twitch and even our YouTube channel where we can see, or we can share the replay in a few days. Looks like a standard start for both teams right now. You'll notice that all the characters picking their own lane, picking their own jungle entrance to make sure that the enemy team is not invading or trying to do a cheesy invade strategy. Level 1, very standard stuff. Let's break down the characters, by the way. For new spectators, let's go down the Rockbridge side first. We have Frozen Maelstrom, a.k.a. Lee Tolner, the junior from Rockbridge. He is playing a giant axe-wielding man. His skin is actually a basketball player, so the axe is now turned into a basketball rim. JT Platts, Jordan Taylor is playing a ancient staff warrior-wielding person. Dawson is playing a very comical, prancing mage that can deal a whole lot of damage. Don't be deceived by her size. Down in the bottom lane with Rylo, the 80 carry. She's playing a deranged machine gun wielding girl, accompanied by Tristan Mini playing again that guardian with the shield. Then for Hickman in our top lane, that's pretty good, played by Tim Peters. He's playing another giant axe wielding person, though this one is a undead mutant. Followed by Nathan Nelmore in the jungle playing a centaur that also wields a giant weapon. What do you know? There's a trend here. Alec Alejero is a nine-tailed fox, as common in Japanese lore. Also a sorceress that deals a lot of damage and can charm her opponents, kind of delivering that CC. In the bottom lane, we talked about Tom Lawless playing Ash, the frozen bow-wielding character, able to slow with every shot that she takes. And last but not least, we have Griffin Pelling, the senior from senior from Hickman High School, playing Rakan, which is a featherman, like a bird featherman type of character. So lots of variety in League of Legends. 140 characters about to choose from.
Yeah, so as we said before, for the most part, games usually start out pretty slow. We see the junglers, they're usually the ones that kind of dictate the pace of the game. The lanes otherwise look pretty even. So we might see a gank here early on as the junglers clear from the bot side of the map to the top side of the map. Right now we see Nathan Nelmore finishing his red buff, which allows him to deal a little bit more damage, slow other opponents. And after this buff, we'll see if he's going to get a gank off on the top lane here.
Like what we were saying earlier, though, you noticed that Nathan had finished his red buff much slower than Jordan, JT Platts playing Jax, had done so. So maybe there was that opportunity to invade, but none taken right there. Instead, you see the reverse happening. Nathan Nelmore dropping a vision ward in the enemy blue side jungle and going for his first gank right now. Looks like no success in the mid lane. Gives a little fright to Dawson. Dasso playing Zoe tonight, but no ganks, no kills. Slight lead for Rockbridge High School, where in the laning phase you want to last hit the minion. As you see the little plus 20 gold going up for each of these characters, your goal is to deliver the final blow.
Well, we see another gank coming in from Nathan Nelmore, Hickman's jungler. He knocks back Dawson. He looks like he's going to escape. We see a counter gank though by JT. They don't find anything. Looks like both sides are just going to back off.
And what we talked about when we're comparing the high school leagues to the professional or collegiate leagues, oftentimes the kills in the professional scenes are markedly lower than what you would notice in your high school, middle school scene.
Oh, we see another gank coming out by Jordan. Does not trigger the E. He flashes forward to try to stun Alec Alejero. Unfortunately, he does not land it. They both use flash, and looks like that she walks away safe and sound.
Maybe slight advantage. We'll see if Dawson takes advantage of the flash pulled. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Lee delivering blow after blow, gets first blood in 4 minutes and 42 seconds. We talked about him last week. He made the play, an instant replay from last week, and maybe he's going to snowball. This is exactly what they need.
And that's what I was talking about before, about the Darius pick. He does very, very well into tanks. He has this passive ability that allows him to put stacks on people that he hits. And so against other tanks, other beefier melee champions, when he stacks points on them, he's able to deal more damage over time. So again, we want to highlight Rockbridge's top laner, Frozen Maelstrom. Again, this is Lee Tolnier. He's actually currently a junior for Rockbridge High School. Very excited to watch him play. He had a huge showing last game. We're just going to see if he's going to snowball this game and do the same thing.
Yeah, Lee is a great kid, and he's got the discipline to play pretty much any lane. Originally started as an AD carry main. That's that bottom lane role, but he needed to be a flexible player for the Rockbridge B team. So he filled in top of all places, which he's doing very well this season. We can't congratulate him enough for what he's done.
He's been elected the team captain of his squad for the B team roster. Again, a very new team. They haven't played together before, even though they all have experience playing the game. So they're looking to him to be that veteran experience, that leader that this newer squad needs.
So let's talk quickly about the numbers that you see at the bottom of the screen when comparing the top jungle, mid, AD carry, and support. This is the creep score or minion kills number. Essentially, the higher minion kills you have, the more gold you will earn, and the more items, the more powerful items you can buy for yourself. That's, again, going back to last hitting these little tiny minions with those health bars that you see in lane. When you deliver the last blow like Leap just did right there, you get a little bit.
Oh, we see another gank coming in from Nathan Nelmore. He gets slept by the Zoe. He still deals massive damage. Alec dashes forward to secure the kill on Dasso, and they pick up a kill. It's now 1-1.
So despite the really great sleep from Dawson, Nelmore applying so much pressure to the mid lane, able to make up for that flash blown by Alec Alejero, and they got the kill. They've got the advantage. Alec is now 51 creep score up. 11 creep score up to Dawson's 40, which means he's got even much more of a lead.
We see a roam coming in from Hickman's jungle and mid to the bot side of the map. Nelmore's running in. Looks like they're engaging on Rockbridge's bot lane, 4v2. We see heal coming out of Rilo. She's running away for her life. We see a flash coming out of Tristan. Both of them escape. No kills secured.
So despite sending 4 players down to gank their 2 bottom lane players, they come out of that alive. And honestly, it's probably better for that. We've got another exchange up in the top lane.
Another crazy sidestep by Lee.
Gets another kill. He's starting to get fed. Almost double the CS. The creep score of Tim Adet's pretty good, which means Darius is not a champion you want to feed. He's probably the most notorious champion you do not want snowballed early in the game, because he can do so much damage while at the same time being tanky, being able to take the damage and obviously dish it back out.
Yeah, so far, it's looking pretty good for the Rockbridge side. We see Rilo, who just recalled to buy some items. She was ahead in CS by about 10 when she recalled. Like you said before, we have almost a 30, actually we do see a 30 CS lead in the top lane. Frozen Maelstrom, Lee against Adet's pretty good. So he's a lot stronger right now than the Scion, and I don't think Scion up here, Tim's gonna have a lot of fun with a snowball Darius.
I would not want to be Tim. Standard start, standard rotations for the junglers right now as they prepare for their next gank. We see a little bit of an invade coming from Nathan Nelmore. I love the pressure that he is applying. You see he's all the way in the enemy jungler. They had just pinged asking for help, but Nathan's just trying to be a little more aggressive, apply that pressure, says he knows he's in the lead right now, and he wants to scare the enemy jungler away from his objective.
Yeah, Hecarim isn't necessarily a jungler that you see that invades very often, but I think that might be an experience thing. Now, these players aren't just playing people that they meet online or anything like that. These players know each other. They know each other's tendencies. They know how much experience everyone has, and Nathan probably realizes that he's a lot more experienced than Jordan on this side of the ball. So maybe we'll continue to see that kind of pressure, those kind of invades into Jordan's jungle, see if they can shake him up a little bit. But for the most part, again, their gold lead, or their CS, the junglers, is relatively even. Both Jordan and Nathan are about equally strong, although Nelmore does have the assist compared to Jordan's 0-0-0 scoreline. But for the most part, it's a pretty even game. Most of the gold lead, as we see Rockbridge is ahead by about 1,000 gold, most of that's attributed to the top lane, Lee with the 2 kills and the CS lead. Everyone else seems to be pretty even. We see a slight CS lead for Alec over Dawson in the mid lane, but bot lane also relatively even.
Right, so with Lee Tolner, a.k.a. Frozen Maelstrom, in the top lane with such a significant lead right now, it's his duty to roam, to say, hey, I'm going to go mid lane, I'm going to go bottom lane to affect the outcome of the rest of this game. He's already got top lane pretty locked down, so if he can translate that lead, huge damage coming out of
Zoe.
And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, you do not want to underestimate Zoe, the character that prances around.
Oh, it looked like Jordan was going to come in for a gank in the bot lane. But he's getting collapsed on by the Hickman side. Nathan comes in with a huge ultimate, CC's Rilo. She flashes away. They're really trying to secure the kill on the Jinx. She goes down. Tom Lawless picks up a kill on Riley. Looks like he's going to pick up a double kill onto Jordan. That's 2 kills going over to the AD carry of Hickman.
And just like that, we see a gold lead swing going in the direction of Hickman High School. And this is what we were talking about earlier, the team fight scenarios. Who's got more coordination?
All right, so let's see if we get a quick replay here brought to you guys by Veterans United. We're going to see this gank come in from Jordan. He ends up getting seen by a ward, so they end up engaging on him, collapsing on him, with Nathan Nelmore coming with a huge ultimate. CC's both Rilo and Jordan, and Tom Lawless picks up a double kill to get him snowballing in this lane.
All right, thank you again, Veterans United, for that replay. Because of that team fight, they were able to secure the first dragon of the game, which is, in fact, an Infernal Drake. A huge objective that once you slay, you get more attack damage and ability power. So they've got even more of a lead now.
Yeah, with that, the gold lead has now shrunk again, and actually now is in favor of Hickman High School. They're ahead by about 300 gold, with that gold being funneled into Tom Lawless, actually. He is actually also a junior for Hickman High School. He's, what would you say your opinion of Tom is for a little bit of time that you've talked to him?
Well, he is a slightly newer player, but he's playing with this team very well. He's learning how to play the AD carry role, which is ideal damage, but from far away. I've got the range advantage on my team fights, and because of that, he can distance himself from anyone that wants to dive him, while also pecking away at any tanks or frontline champions. He's sitting back. Unlike that last team fight, I noticed Rilo had kind of scooted up a little too much and caused a little
Yeah, we see a cheeky invade coming out from Jordan, trying to get some pressure back in there, but he actually gets picked off by the roaming Alec Alejero. He roams down, gets the charm on him, and they pick up another kill. That kill actually goes over to Alec as well. Both the carries for Hickman's side are now 2-0. Unlucky for Jordan. I like the pressure. I like him trying to be more confident, trying to invade the enemy jungler. As I'd say, Jax is arguably stronger than Hecarim for the most part in a dueling sense, but he gets caught by some vision and they end up collapsing on him. That's what you want to see your team do if you find out that the enemy jungler is invading your own turf. Right.
We talked about how there was an opportunity earlier in the game for Jordan to invade. Here comes another gank in the mid lane, probably just saying, hey,
good dodge by Dawson.
Quick drive by Nelmore, just reminding him, I'm on the map somewhere. You better watch out for me. But what we were talking about is earlier Jordan had the opportunity to invade level 3. Lee dancing around top lane, roaming mid, seeing if he can find any opportunity. He needs to start applying pressure to the rest of the map, or else they're going to fall behind.
Tower. He's got a huge gold lead. He needs to start translating that across the rest of the map. The rest of his team is going to have a lot of fun. We see another roam coming up top. Nelmore knocks him back. Looks like Lee is going to instead decide to disengage.
A helpful knockback.
Yeah, I will say that's... We see, again, the pressure coming out of Nathan Nelmore. He's 0-0-4. He's participated in 100% of his team's kills. And that's just the kind of player he is. That's what we've seen from the scrimmages, from the last exhibition matches. He's a very aggressive player, and he likes to dictate when his team kind of initiates.
Likewise for Alec James, who's been both bottom and top lane now, applying pressure to both sides of the map.
Yep. They've started the neutral monster, the Rift Herald. Looks like they're going to get collapsed on, though. Seen as we see... Oh, Sion is roaming in. He ends up whiffing. He used his ultimate to charge back from the top side of the lane to try to help this fight turn into a 3v2, but it looks like they're all going to end up disengaging.
Yeah, so what they were attempting to slay right there was the Rift Herald, that giant beetle-like monster that you saw. Once you take that down, you can capture his essence and summon him on the map to help you take down towers. Unfortunately, they were not able to get that because of the pressure that Lee from the top lane had applied, as well as the mid lane Dawson. But a good save overall for Rockbridge High School. We heard their audience cheering them on. A very supportive group. We know that Rockbridge High School, one of the largest esports clubs in Columbia Public Schools, they're all here tonight, A and B team, to support one another.
So far, so again, pretty close. The gold lead is actually even. It's both 20K to 20K. Looks like Willen tries to find a pick on Tristan again in the bot side river, but doesn't find anything. Now, this is what I want to see from Lee. He's got the lead. He can bully ADAS pretty good out of the lane. Over and over again, he needs to start doing damage to that tower. He needs to start absorbing some pressure, forcing Nathan to come top to help out the Scion, or at least getting that tower.
Right. Once he gets that tower down, then he can start roaming much more easily. And he can either do that or keep pushing that top lane to say, hey, I'm strong. You need to send 2 players at me in order to do that, which is what they're about to do right now.
And we see Nathan waiting in the tri-bush, seeing if he can find an opportunity to gank, help out his teammate. Doesn't look like they're going to find anything.
So once a team, a top laner does get fed like this, in this case Darius of all champions, which is huge, if they are able to soak up that pressure on the map, send 2, 3 people just to meet him in the top lane, then the other team can engage on an unlikely situation, a mismatch in the other lanes.
Yep. And for the most part, bot lane again is still really, really even. It's 98 to 96 CS, although Tom Lawless does have 2 kills compared to Riley's 1. But for the most part, it's a pretty even lane, and that's what the Jinx wants. The Jinx wants to be able to scale, wants to be able to farm up. So right now, I think it's sitting pretty good in the Rockbridge side for the bot side of the map. So again, I think that's what Darius needs to do. He needs to start demanding more pressure, demanding that attention. He is 2-0. He is fed. He's going to be a big boy, and he is bullying out Tim in the top lane. They need to have Nelmore send that pressure up there so that Jordan can then gank the bot lane, help get that Jinx snowball and get her a little bit ahead.
So Tim, ADAS pretty good in the top lane, did recall and teleport straight back to lane. So he is applying a little more pressure. Lee is now hoping to give huge.
Ooh, good damage coming out of Dawson. He ends up flashing away. We see assist coming out from Jordan. Looks like Dawson's still going to go down, though.
Cleans up
Clean
the
up
kill.
kill by Nathan Nelmore. Little cheeky poke coming out of the Zoe. That's what she does. She like to skirmish like that. Poke, get that poke damage out. But Alec, seeing the weakness, knowing that he's stronger, he's ahead in kills, he's ahead in CS. He was able to win that trade, forcing Dawson to escape. And Nathan actually ended up just cleaning it up.
Yeah, an unfortunate flash made by Dawson in the mid lane. It could have gone either way, I think, maybe in the 1v1 skirmish. But again, going back to the team play mechanics of this, maybe you're watching or you're thinking 10 seconds ahead. If I engage now, I know my jungler is going to back me up. And that's probably the message that Alec James had relayed to Nelmore, Nathan, just saying, hey, I'm going in, you clean up the kill, you take the gold, and I'm still going to be ahead.
And for the most part, again, now it's starting to slow down again. And this is kind of where we wonder if, from a B team's perspective, or teams, I guess, that have less experience playing together, is what do they need to do now? We're seeing the little skirmishes, we're seeing the picks here and there. Now, can these guys start translating that into objectives? We see another Fire Drake has just spawned. Again, that's a neutral objective that will give the team scaling damage as the game goes on, and that's an objective that both teams should prioritize. Now, as teams start finding these picks, can they translate them into objectives? 0 towers have yet to be taken, and this is 20 minutes into the game. Can these teams find some sort of macro synergy, some sort of macro plan to start getting this game going? Because right now they're still in the laning phase, and we're in 20 minutes into the game.
Right, I like the objective control and priority that Hickman High School has. You'll see 4 of their players focusing bottom lane right now, going in for a dive.
Bot. They are diving Rockbridge's bot side. We see a lot of ultimates, like we said before, a lot of pick potential. They're CC'd under tower, and they just got with a clean dive. That's 4 people on the bot side of the map. What can Rockbridge do to respond? Looks like first tower is going to go over to Hickman High School.
And so the reason why they're prioritizing this bottom lane is because, one, it's an even lane.
It doesn't look like it's going to go through this
In the
time.
mid lane, we had both Alec, Alejero, and in the jungle, we had Nelmore, Nathan, both ahead of their rival laner, so they can focus that attention to the one even lane and maybe swing that evenness into the other direction. With that tower dive, they have secured their second Infernal Drake. Huge buff going to Hickman High School now. When it comes down to a team fight, they're going to do more damage unless Frozen Maelstrom comes out and supports the team with a clean teleport.
And that's exactly what we were talking about before. They were able to coordinate, that's kind of the macro play we were talking about. They were able to coordinate a 4-man dive, 4v2 into the Rockbridge's bot side. They secure both kills, they secure the first tower, and then they translate that to another dragon. Those are the macro plays that we should be expecting to see out of these teams. And unfortunately, Rockbridge wasn't able to respond accordingly. They weren't able to find pressure anywhere else on the map, even though 4 of Hickman's players were bot side.
Right, and that's what League of Legends is really about. Communicating with your team, seeing who's ahead right now. How can we further push our strengths and maybe alleviate our weaknesses by, you know, that's pretty good, is doing a pretty good job right now defending this tower, which should have been long destroyed, in my opinion.
And it seems to be that, we see more skirmishes in the mid lane. The bot lanes are now roaming up to the mid side of the map now that there's a tower missing. We're going to see a lot more action now. Alec Hero, he ults into the enemy lane. Melmore also ults forward, trying to find an engage. Looks like all of Rockford is going to be able to disengage. Riley gets caught. She flashes away, avoids Willen's ultimate and his W. He ends up going in too far, but he's able to escape with his E. So a lot of different engages, a lot of different abilities being thrown out. Looks like everyone's able to escape, having only burn their summoner spells.
Huge aggression seen by Hickman High School. They want to impose themselves on lane and
push that advantage, push that lead. And they have all the tools in their ultimates to find that CC. Like this, we see the ultimate coming out of A. That's pretty good. He finds the pick on Riley. That's what we're talking about. A lot of damage coming out on that engage. Basically, once one of them uses their ultimates and finds a pick, they can tell their entire team, hey, let's go in. This is who we want to kill. This is where we want to fight. And that's exactly what they need to do through the rest of this game. They need to keep pulling the trigger, keep putting the gas to the pedal. They pick up another kill on Riley. And we'll see if they can translate that to a mid tower.
So despite being down earlier in the game in the top lane, Tim Peters finds a fantastic ultimate pick on the enemy AD carry. That's exactly who we wanted to run into and start that team fight with, because once the squishy damage dealing character is down, they have nothing to fear other than, of course, right now specifically Lee Tolner, but not much of rebuttal coming out of that engage.
Yeah. So we're going to try again here. We're going to see if we can if we were able to capture the replay of that engage in that fight. Unfortunately, it does not look like that is the case. We'll have to figure out what that issue is down the road. Oh, is it a pause game?
All right.
It looks like a game has been paused due to communication issues. Again, we are 3 minutes behind, so we're going to catch up to that moment while we try to figure out what the comm issues are real time into the game. Now, as we said before, unfortunately, we are a 2-man team with a couple of volunteers. Makes everything a lot easier and a lot more helpful. Thank you to our volunteers. Thank you to all of our parents. Thank you to all of our staff that come out and support us. So, in that regard, though, might take a little bit of time to figure out this communication issue. Hopefully it was just a headset issue, and we should be back into the game whenever we come to the pause 3 minutes away. But now we see the kill lead is currently in Hickman's favor, 8-3, although the gold lead is only 4,000 gold ahead in Hickman's favor. Again, though, like we kind of established before, we want to see more aggression. We see another engage coming out of Rockford's side. Actually, it looks like they kind of ran right into Hickman's squad. We see a flash coming out of Jax. He ends up going down anyway to the Ahri. Looks like Hickman High School is going to pick up 2 more kills. They were just roaming around and found them in Rockbridge's own jungle. Now we see 3 Hickman squad roaming up to the top lane. They're going to try to apply more pressure against Lee Tolner. Actually, all 5 of them looks like they're going to try to take this tower. And that's what we want to see. It's a numbers game. They have the lead. They know they can win these fights, so they're trying to macro their way around the rest of the map and take the objectives. There's not a whole lot just the Braum can do up top. Looks like Darius, Frozen Maelstrom, is trying to recall. Looks like they're going to give up this tower. That's what Hickman needs to do. They have the lead. They have the pressure. And they're applying it pretty effectively. They know they can win these fights. Looks like we're going to see a soft reset now coming out of both teams. All right, it sounds like the audio issue is a Discord. issue. Is that what I am hearing? I believe that is the case. It is a Discord issue. So now we have now caught up real time to the comms issue that has been established on Hickman's side. Seems like it was a Discord issue. All right. We have found a solution to the Discord problem. We are currently testing this solution, and hopefully we'll be back as soon as the pause unpauses itself in the next 3 minutes. Yeah. Wipe the rest of the team. So it looks like, everyone, that we are actually back in game. Finally, the pause is over. We are caught back up. Hickman actually does find a pick on A. That's pretty good. Doesn't like he's going to escape. And so, for a little bit of their trouble, even though they were unable, they got picked up a little bit earlier, they find a pick in return onto A. That's pretty good. That kill also goes over to Darius. So the right people have the kills on Rockbridge's side. Riley, Lee, they have the kills. They're the ones that likely need these kills if they want to win these team fights. I think that's what it's going to be about. They need to be together. They need to stop separating. They need to work on their vision and start getting caught. And then they can win these team fights. I actually do believe, even though they're 6,000 gold behind. If they play them right, they play it front to back. Riley in the back lane where she can be protected by the Darius. They can win these team fights.
Completely agree. Again, Jinx is a character that really ramps up in damage as the later game goes. She has so much attack speed, and her ability to shoot multiple rockets at individual characters is going to win these team fights, I think, in the late game, especially with Jordan playing Jax, another very attack speed heavy champion that can solo these other champions when it comes to late game.
We want to see the Jax on the enemy backline. We want to see him wiping out the Ashe, Tom Lawless. I was wrong. She was not an Inferno Drake. It's just the image of the Drake. It's actually an Ocean Drake, a Drake that gives the teams kind of a little bit more of a recovery stat. They're able to recover their health, recover their mana, their energy out of combat over time.
Both teams doing a little bit of a dragon dance, seeing which one's going to take the objective. Rockbridge moves in to maybe secure the kill, but I'm sure we're going to see an engagement like this right now. So Jax securing the Ocean Drake, however, at a cost to make that probably 3 players on Rockbridge High School, 4 players going down on Rockbridge's team. Now, do you think that was a worthy dragon to take in exchange for 4 kills? What do you think?
So, I like what Hickman did there. They baited them into the pit. Let's see actually if we got the replay of it right here. It's actually going to take a little bit time to load. So we're going to switch back to the game. Exactly what Hickman did there was really, really smart. So they disengaged from the dragon, allowing all of the enemy team to get stuck in that pit. So they could throw out all their CC, they could throw out all their ultimates, and then engage on them together. Now, for Rockbridge to play that right, they need to position again front to back, like we just established. We need to see like the Jinx, we need to see the Zoe in the back of the pit with the frontliners right in front to block the Scion, block the other ultimates, and then Jinx can then fight front to back.
Yeah, I'm not sure if fighting in the Dragon Pit was right. There's so much of a bottleneck, a chokehold, that all of their ultimate abilities coming from Hickman High School just stacks on top of each other. Looks like we have another Discord issue pause. And we'll have to take care of it. Pings are fine in the building, so CenturyLink is doing their job. But Discord, we do have to figure out how to take care of their server stability.
Those servers are not on our end, so unfortunately there's not a whole lot we can do. If the issue comes from Discord itself, Frozen Maelstrom almost gets caught out. He's pretty tanky though, so he's able to flash away, save his life. We see roaming coming in from topside. Both the mid and the support from Rockbridge coming in, they don't find anything either. Hickman is starting to clear away wards around the Baron Pit, trying to set up that vision control so they can rotate back to that objective if they get the chance. Looks like everyone else is resetting. And again, looks like we had a pause. We're going to catch back up to that very shortly. Discord server stability, something that's, I think anyone who plays games, anyone who uses Discord, they understand that sometimes that can be an issue. But But in regards to reestablishing the footholds back in the game, what we're talking about in the game here, exactly, Hickman is still pulling ahead. They're currently 9,000 gold ahead. They're playing their team fights very, very well. They're securing the right objectives. They did give up that dragon to Rockbridge, but instead they were able to clean up 4 of the kills with Riley able to escape with her life. And they're only going to keep getting stronger here. Rockbridge needs to take better fights here. They need to keep scaling, they need to keep wave clearing and funneling that gold back into the Jinx. They need to scale, essentially, so that they can actually win and potentially, yeah, exactly, potentially win some of these team fights. Now coming up here, it looks like we're probably going to see the pause very shortly. See more poking coming in from Dawson, the mid laner of Rockbridge High School. Zoe, he's also starting to ramp up in damage. He's actually finished building his first item. Lunzeko, kind of late in the game. He's really far behind Ari in terms of items, but what Zoe can do with the CC and the poke that she can provide from range, he's going to start doing his job. Now, this is the chance, actually. So we see both teams grouped in the mid lane. Hickman is pushing down, and here comes the pause. We see the pause coming out again for the audio issues. Hopefully we're going to fix those very shortly. Again, it is a Discord server issue. So as the stability fixes itself on their end, the players here on our end will be able to rejoin the server. A Drake that gives the
All right, just a quick update on our status for our pause game Discord. The team communications server has gone down. Again, not on our end. CenturyLink is doing their job. Their players are now switching over to their Skype accounts to communicate. If you'll bear with us. Once again, thank you to our sponsors, Columbia College, Hawthorne Bank, Armstrong Teasdale, and Veterans United for delivering us this wonderful esports season.
So as we established previously, we did capture the replay again of the dragon fight earlier. We're going to replay that for you guys right now. As we said before, Hickman High School is backing off of the dragon. They're playing that dragon dance. Not really sure who's going to engage where. Hickman backs off, inviting Rockbridge High School to essentially position in the pit. And this is where we talked about. We see the Jinx and the Zoe outside of the pit. Jinx ends up, she doesn't even really get in this fight. She's on the outside. She's throwing rockets from afar. But she's not in a position to keep dealing damage. She just runs away on the outside. If they were to win this fight, like we said before, it has to be a front to back. It has to be a linear fashion. And they needed to put their carries essentially in the back of the pit. They did have flash. They did have the ability to flash out of the pit if they needed to, and that's really what cost Rockbridge that first time that we're seeing both. This is something we didn't highlight at the beginning, actually, but we want to thank both the coaches of both these rosters, both Hickman and Rockbridge. Rockbridge actually has just established a new coach since last week. His name is Josh Bismarck Cobb. He is actually the starting mid laner for Mizzou's A team. Actually, we're about to get back in game. But also, before we get away from it too much, we also have a substitute coach for Hickman right now. Their usual coach is currently taking an exam. His name is Angel. I believe he is actually the substitute starter for Hickman's A team. I believe that's the case. And we're going to thank him also for being there for his team. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming out here. These players appreciate you guys' coaching a lot. So we're back in the game now. We're 30 minutes in. People are starting to ramp up. I'd say we're about to actually enter the late game phase of this B game. Actually, so far, this is probably the longest game that we've had in regard to the B team rosters.
Yeah, and it could be due to the pauses as well. But we have hit our 30-minute mark with 2 Infernal Drakes for Hickman High School. They have enough damage and enough engage to seal this game. That's the next part when... or at least the next level when playing League of Legends. Now that you have your lead, how quickly can you clean it up? How quickly can you close it out? Because by the time late game comes, everyone's got their items. They're able to farm up and with that gold get the same equivalent items, the same equivalent levels to fight on an equal term.
Because that's really what it's all about. Each player only has 6 item slots. Once they fill those 6 item slots, that's as strong as they're going to get. We see a pick coming out of Dawson. They find it on Ades pretty good. Doesn't deal a whole lot of damage. He's actually separated from his team, but at the same time, they've also separated Hickman's squad.
Forces a flash from Dasso, played by Dawson. in the game. Maybe not the best character to try to pick. That's pretty good. Scion, Tim Peters up in the top lane, is playing a champion that's extremely tanky, meaning he can take up a lot of damage. So finding and singling him out isn't going to do much because they can't be blown up so quickly. So now we see Rockbridge High School kind of going into that turtle mode, all behind the walls of their base. Meanwhile, in the jungle of the same Rockbridge side, Hickman is invading, taking the creeps, taking the jungle monsters, blue buff, which gives accelerated cooldowns and mana regeneration. They're pretty much they're cutting all the supplies that Rockbridge need to get back into the game.
Let's see here. For the most part, I'm sure this game could potentially last a little bit longer. That's what Rockbridge wants to do, actually, if we're being honest. Rockbridge wants to continue to stall out this game. They want to keep getting their items, keep getting their gold, so they can scale back up. Hickman, on the other hand, they want to end this game, and they're in a prime position to do so. They take another objective, the second tier top tower, and they're grouped as 4 here. We see Ash, though, one of their main damage dealers. He is not grouped with the team. Yeah, actually, if Rockbridge was able to realize that, this is actually the time and the chance for them to engage. It did not look like they actually had vision of the Ash, so they don't know. They try to pick some up as they're trying to recall. It looks like Hickman's able to escape.
Right. Hickman decides to recall, probably preparing to either take the Baron objective or possibly their 3rd Infernal Drake, which means I think is 24% extra attack damage and ability power. Is that right?
I believe so. We can actually probably hover to check it out.
Right, so with the next objective, this is going to be huge. If Hickman secures either one of these, that's even more of a lead going in favor of Hickman.
We see Ada's pretty good in the top lane. He's split pushing on his own now. See if he's going to take damage on this inhibitor tower. And inhibitors are really what kind of decide. And this game is starting to hit that endpoint. Inhibitors, when taken, start spawning super minions, empowered creeps, as we call them, to help push those lanes, make it a little bit stronger. He ults to try to get away. Lee Tolnier tries to find a flank on him. Looks like he's going to escape, though.
But causing enough of a distraction for Hickman to secure the Infernal Drake. Again, this is their 3rd Fire Drake, meaning 3 times the amount of added damage for all players on the red team. If they were to find an engage right now, they're going to have, or I should say Rockbridge is going to have a very difficult time surviving very much damage coming out of the Hickman team.
So we talk a lot about what Rockbridge needs to do. Hickman, on the other hand, they need to close this game. They need to stop this Jinx from scaling and stalling out any further. They have the lead. They're in the prime position to end it. Now, we see the Banshee's Veil coming out of Zoe. That's actually that little shield around Dawson, and it allows him to block an incoming spell of the enemy team. And that's really what will save him from some of these picks. So he's a little bit safer. That's one thing to talk about. As Rockbridge gets more items, they're going to be put in a better position to win these fights. They need to find a pick now. They need to find a pick before Riley's able to secure her QSS, able to secure any more crit chance, any more Zeal items. And it looks like we might see that. We see 5 grouped in the mid lane for Hickman. Looks like they're going to end up trying to siege this last mid tower. The last mid tower.
I would say at this point in the game, if all 5 of Hickman's members were to commit to a tower dive in this mid inhibitor turret, they would probably win the team fight or at least deliver enough damage.
Ooh, we see the
ultimate
ultimate coming out of Tristan as an engage instead of disengage. That might cost them in the ensuing team fight. Huge engage by Griffin. We see the Flash W ultimate secure CC on almost everyone. Like I said before, they're diving. We see now more coming into the tower. Both the Ashe and the... Well, actually, Ashe is staying on the tower. But Alec instead diving underneath, secure the kill on Riley. And they're going to clean up this fight. They already secured 3 kills. Looks like they'll secure the 4th on Dawson. That's going to be a mid-inhibitor for sure, if not the game. And now, I'd say what really kind of triggered that fight there was the Braum ultimate. So Braum threw out his ultimate, usually used to disengage, but they tried to engage to find a pick. They did not find the pick, and they did not have that ability to disengage. Actually, Hickman's going to opt instead to try to end the game. They're going to take 2 towers and 2 inhibitors.
Yeah, again, we saw the attempt to pick out Tim Peters, that's pretty good up in the top lane, but he's just so tanky. It doesn't do the Rockbridge team very much good to invest all of their ultimates, their exhaust, their abilities on such a tanky champion whose job it is to soak up that damage, to be the front line. So he was already doing his job, even though he was quote-unquote picked earlier in the team fight, because Hickman was able to respond with all of their other teammates to back him up. 2 inhibitors down for Rockbridge High School, meaning that both of the top and middle lane will now start spawning super minions, which push waves even faster. Those minions are larger than even the cannon one you see right in front of your screen right now. With the proper play, Hickman will either move towards the Baron objective or push bottom lane to force an ultimatum for Rockbridge. What do we defend at this point? How can we turtle even more? Meanwhile, Hickman just suffocating Rockbridge in terms of resources. And as you can see, they are roaming to the bottom lane.
And that's currently what we're seeing. We already see the pressure coming out from top and mid from the Super Minions. This is probably what they need to do, if not the Baron objective. They're just going to group down down bot lane. They know they can win the fights. They just proved it in the last engage under tower. They're going to see if they can find a pick again. Might see a dive, might see an ace. That might be the end of the game here. If they can find it, see Ashe is really far ahead there. Ends up taking huge damage from Riley. Like we said before, she's starting to scale up. That was just one rocket that dealt probably a fifth of the health of the enemy marksman, Tom Lawless. They're waiting on the next wave. Ooh. Good sleep. Oh, actually, that dealt very little damage.
Right. At this point, for Dawson to find the pick, it would have to be on this Ashe or this... or Alec, who is playing Ahri in the mid lane, if they found a way to use
we see the initiation coming out. Great ultimates coming out from the Scion and the Rakan. They end up separating the entire team. All of Rockbridge scatters. They don't stand their ground like they need to. Fortunately, they find the pick on Lee Tolnir. With Darius, without that big front liner, without that damage coming out, I don't know if they can win this next fight. They're now knocking on the doors of the Nexus, taking down both Nexus towers. They're now damaging the Nexus. Rockbridge is trying their best to defend the tower, or the last, and it goes out.
They will finish off the game. Hickman, congratulations, B team. They are the victors of tonight. Very close early game, followed by a very good roam pressure from the mid lane and their jungler as well.
Yeah, so without any, hopefully there will be no more communication issues as we jump into the A game. But in about 15 minutes, we'll have both A team rosters for Hickman and Rockbridge on stage and ready to go into picks and bans. So don't click anywhere. We'll be back in 15 minutes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back from the intermission for the A-team matches between Rockbridge High School and Hickman High School. The rivalry will continue tonight on the Rift. Both teams are both coming in 1-0 from the previous week. And I'm very excited to watch this game. I'm always very excited to see both Hickman and Rockbridge. They were probably the most established teams in this league in terms of individual talent across the board, as well as teams with the most synergy. So a lot of these guys have been playing together for, especially Rockbridge's side, these guys have been playing together a lot as of recently. Whether it's flex games, whether it's scrims, whether it's with their coach, they're really starting to develop that synergy, and that's something we see a lot of. We saw a good amount of that last game. They had a lot of things still to improve upon, and with their new coach, we'll see if they've addressed some of those initial issues.
Absolutely. We've seen in our previous exhibition matches last fall, Hickman and Rockbridge did square off against each other. Hickman did take that match, and what really was inspiring was seeing Rockbridge, the losing team, saying, hey, we need to step it up. Let's plan for our next match because we know that the season is coming up, and tonight they are prepared more than ever with the help of Coach Cobb to guide them through the pick and ban phase. So hopefully we see a closer match than last time. We'll see what happens up in the top lane. We've got a huge all-star player, of course, Dark Quacker for Hickman High School, played by Michael Joe. He is the former Diamond 1, now currently Platinum 1 player, squaring off against Andrew Vexcu, who's seen nothing but success in the top lane as of this new esports season.
Yeah, so exactly what you just said before. Andrew, last year, he was the 80 carry for Rockbridge's exhibition squad. He actually is a top lane main, so now he is back in his usual element and what he's most familiar with. And I'm excited to see him play. He really likes those aggressive kind of top laners. I know his team and his coach have been trying to urge him to play more tanks. We hear that a lot, so we're going to see what's up here. I'd like to see him play an aggressive kind of top laner into Dark Quacker, see how he handles that matchup against a player that is, a much, at least from what we tell on the solo ladder, plays at a much higher caliber.
Right, absolutely. And for those of you who are watching at home, we do have a last-minute substitution in the Hickman support role. Renee Tellman is going to be filled in by Sam Broderson, Jack Daw 729, who will be filling in again for support tonight. We'll see how that bot lane matchup goes against the Rockbridge duo, Michael and Jae Hong.
Yeah, so that might be a point of focus for Rockbridge's side. If you guys remember correctly, actually, he was a substitute last week as well. He played top lane. And so he's not your traditional. He's not traditionally on the A-team squad. And actually, we are jumping into picks and bans here. Looks like both teams are ready. Looks like everyone's in comms. Hopefully this time around we are not in Discord, I don't believe, or we might be in Discord.
We are all in Skype this time.
We are all in Skype, so we shouldn't have any Discord stability issues, and we're jumping right into the picks and bans for the second game. Or I guess it's the first game for both A's teams, but the second game of the night. We see the Darius ban makes a lot of sense, as Dark Quacker was previously known as a Darius one-trick, and in return we see the Camille ban, a very comfortable pick for Andrew Vexq. I think that's the right way to go about this. Less about the meta and more about the comfort picks.
Yes, that is in fact how it is. We'll see what our second ban is. In the intermission, we had Coach Ben Bruce able to come back from his exam tonight. He is back on with the headsets behind his team right now, strategizing who do we ban out, who do we pick next. Let's fill out the composition so we have a good mix of damage, tankiness, and an all-around support.
See the Bears ban coming out for Rockbridge's side. Now, I get that. It makes sense. It's a very meta pick. But in regards to, if you guys know the players very well, Gosu bot, I don't know if Varus is a pick that I see him on too often. Actually, we see someone leaving the game. Looks like there might have been an issue. We had a computer issue this time around. Looks like it's restarting. They had to... Looks like that's being resolved real quickly. That's not an issue that will take very long to fix. But hopefully we'll see the same picks. We'll see the same bands going around. And going back to what I was saying previously, we saw the Varus band coming out on Rockbridge's side. And I think in this sort of league, it's much more about understanding the players than it is the meta. And compared to the online leagues that you see kind of elsewhere around, like in the college scene even, players know each other. And in that regard, there's a whole nother mix to the strategizing that can come in for these teams before each week. Because they know these players, they can kind of target their tendencies. And now, I got kind of bit off on a tangent there, but Matthew's a very aggressive player. He played Tristana last week, and I think Varus, a pick that kind of sits in the back line, deals a lot of damage, but can get those picks with his ultimate. I don't know. I'd probably ban the Tristana first. But I guess as we're moving forward, we're going to see what the issue is. True, that is true. That's a good point. But for the most part, now again, we don't want to give away any ideas to either team, but these coaches are very established. They are both very good at this game in their own right, and we know that they've been strategizing from the beginning. So we'll see if they have any answers to any of the bans or the solutions, any of the bans or any of the strategies that the opposing coach has for their teams. So we see Jae Hong has now re-entered the lobby, and we're back into the picks and bans. We should see the exact same bans coming out up until the point where the technical issue came up. That is exactly what we're seeing.
With the help of a coach in our leagues, which might differentiate us from other online leagues right now, we have experienced veteran League of Legends players guiding all of the high schools through their own physical in-person practices. And a fun little bit you might not have known is after every practice there is a physical circuit workout that follows, because we are all about at Ukatsu balance between our passion for playing video games and of course our time spent outside of the game as well. Just want to let you guys know at home how we operate here at Ukatsu eSports. New bans coming out, Renekton in the top lane, another targeted ban towards Dark Quacker, played again by Michael Zhou. They know that he is a big threat when he picks Darius, Renekton, Tristana, another good
There we
ban.
go. Hopefully, I did not give that strategy away. And we did bring that up during the time when they had the computer issue, but I'm assuming that was probably a pick that they had established previously. That is a comfortable pick for Matthew Gosubot. We'll see what he responds with. We've seen him play a number of AD carries, though, so I have confidence that he can select another character that he'll be proficient on. So coming up for the first pick for Rockbridge's side, they're currently 1 second left. They pick Jin. They select Jin, the AD carry. That's not a champion, actually. We've seen XM Michael play as the marksman for Rockbridge before. We've seen a lot of Lucian. We've seen a lot of Vayne. Jin is not a champion I personally have seen him play, but we do know he has gotten buffed in this recent patch, so he is stronger than he was before, and we'll see what he can do on that.
It'll be very exciting to see how much of a factor those buffs will play into this new match. Very excited to see our AD carry from Rockbridge playing the character of Jin.
Two very tanky picks coming on the board next. Something that Jin, as an AD carry, might struggle with. Normally your DPS, your damage per second dealer, not as good into these tanks. They select both Scion, a very meta pick, as well as Sejuani, another tanky frontliner with a lot of crowd control. Rockbridge is starting to put together, or Hickman's starting to put together at least a good tanky frontline, good team fighting composition here.
Scion has been just a fantastic pick overall in this current meta. Again, in the last game for B Team, we saw how deadly of an engage that Scion Ultimate can deliver, and he can take so much damage. And even after he dies, because of his passive, he just respawns as an undead ogre and just wails on the enemy team with his fist. So a lot of utility coming from Scion, the character. Now let's see how Michael Zhou picks that in. Applause going out as the next mid lane pick for Rockbridge happens. This would be our mid laner, Justin Zhang, in a very comfortable pick himself. Cassiopeia is by far one of his most played champions.
A champion that does take a little bit of time to rev up. She needs her items to deal the damage that she's known for. But if they can stall this out, we'll see if we get to watch a Cassiopeia get big. On the flip side, we see Vayne locked in for Matthew Gosubot, another carry kind of AD carry, something that he's very kind of familiar with, and something that Hickman's ran before, a very protect the AD carry comp is what it will look like so far. We got two big tanky frontliners with a lot of CC and a hyper carry, late game scaling AD carry in the back. So we'll see what else they have to, I guess, to answer that on Rockbridge's side.
Shen Ban going out in the top lane in any attempt to shut down any global pressure. That's one of the things that we've noticed Hickman really excels at. Halfway, or at least at the near end of the early game, we know that Darkwacker has a great sense of when he needs to teleport to help out in a team fight, and that usually swings the entire lead in their favor. That's what we saw last week, week 1 against Jefferson City, despite them playing a very clean early game.
And so we see two bans then on Hickman's side targeted towards the top lane. We're just going to have to see what Andrew picks instead. For the most part, I've seen him play Camille the most. I'm probably going to think, though, he's going to play a tank. I think he's more comfortable on more carry kind of top laners, but I assume Rockbridge is going to select a tank in the top side of the map. It's what they need, I'd say, for what they've drafted so far.
Right. Perhaps we'll see a Gnar pick or maybe a traditional tank pick. But we'll have to see. Again, Camille is his go-to when we've seen all of his scrimmages, his practices, and of course last week, week 1.
Yep. Now we see the Ahri pick coming out again for the mid laner for Hickman. How 1 currently selecting the Ahri pick. Alec played her last game, and it's a great effect. She does a lot of damage, very mobile. Going to be hard to lock her down. We also see the Janna pick up in the Maokai. Like we said before, we see a tank and a good disengage support coming out for Rockbridge. I think those are two picks that really round out the comp. The Janna pick for the support for Sean, the support for Rockbridge is kind of a champion that has a lot of abilities that can disengage, can knock away the opponents, can shield her teammates, and that's what's going to be really necessary to keep those tanks away.
Bit of a runes and mastery scare, I think, before the match started. Or at least switching champions around from Rockbridge. They seem to be pretty relieved after that slight scare. Let's take a look at the team comps we have now.
Yeah, so on Rockbridge's side, it's kind of, it makes sense. It does make sense. They do have a plan in mind. They have really like engage heavy top side of the map. They have a really tanky Maokai that can either disengage or be a source for engagement, I guess, from Rockbridge's side. You can see his ultimate to lock down teammates or to disengage. We see J4, who's traditionally used to engage. Actually, Bo, the juggler for Hickman, played him to great effect last week. And so they do have the CC. They do have the CC. They do have the engage aspect on their side with the carries coming out from Cassiopeia and the Jhin. Jhin also an AD carry that can push lanes a little bit easier, have a little bit more harassment on the Vayne, and can sit in the back line. Same thing with the Cassiopeia. So it's kind of a similar comp to the B team. At least they do have the more disengage coming out from the Janna to help protect that Cassiopeia and the Jhin from the likes of the Sion and the Sejuani. On Hickman's side, again, they have a very solid identity. They have the heavy engage, the frontliners coming out of the Sion being played by Michael Darkquacker. They have the Sejuani pick, a huge boar riding lady who has a lot of tanky stats, as well as a lot of crowd control, a lot of abilities to lock down teammates, stun them, root them, all that kind of stuff. And I actually cannot pronounce it. Quet YX. I'm just call him Bo. Bo is his real name, and
Yes.
his name is a little bit hard to pronounce. Quet YXV.
His
I'm just gonna call him
gamer
Bo.
tag,
His gamer tag. And then we have, of course, Hao in the mid lane, playing Ari again. So those first three picks are very similar to what Hickman ran in the first game. And then the hyper carry Vayne, and then the Braum in the bot lane. Braum being the same character that Rockbridge had as their support to help disengage and peel for that Vayne. I think it's a very good pick into the Jhin, traditionally. Does very well, prevents Jhin from landing some abilities, gets in his face. And I think it's going to be a good pick and to allow Vayne to scale a little bit better in lane.
Yeah, it'll be a lot more interesting to see these A teams competing in the team fights. Hopefully they've got a very good sense of their priorities as the individual character that they've picked. For instance, Maokai, played by Andrew up in the top lane. He knows that his responsibility might be to dive deep in the back lane, or that maybe Jeffrey Mullen, playing Galaxy Fox Jarvan 4. It could be his role, or it could be the necessity to peel for their Jhin and Cassiopeia, which we did not see, unfortunately, for Rockbridge B team when it came to Jinx, Riley in the previous game. So I think this is going to go late game, personally. I think that both teams are going to be able to play well enough to not make those early newer player mistakes that you usually see in this tier of play.
We'll have to see. I think it's going to come down to coordination again. Hickman's done an excellent job, both A and B squads, executing macro plays that it seems like the other teams can't keep up with. Both Jefferson City and Rockbridge B squad in the last game had trouble keeping up with the plays around the map.
We got a countdown going.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Great support coming out from both the parents, fans, peers, and even club sponsors tonight here for Hickman High School, designated as the home team tonight.
So again, we kind of talked about it again. We always want to go into the game having some sort of prediction in mind. Who do you got winning this game, Joe?
Well, after seeing last week's performance on Cho'Gath, seeing that 1 versus 4, I imagine that on a strong pick like Sion, we're going to see something very similar to that. We know that Coach Ben Bruce has been grooming this varsity team to really play not just around their top laner, but to take advantage of the pressure that he soaks up. So it's very difficult for the other team to be able to beat this team late game because of that Vayne pick, that insurance Vayne on top of the Darkquacker Sion, who will inevitably, I think, snowball, whether or not it's in the top lane or a strong TP gank. So that's where my money's on right now.
So here we go. We're jumping into the last game of the night. Both Rockbridge A and Hickman A. Both squads coming into the night 1-0. Unfortunately, though, of course, one squad is going to have to walk away with the first loss on their record, and the other one with a 2-0 record. Pretty solid start to the season. Next week will be week 3, and it'll round out the first round robin in this circuit, and they would have played both, or I guess all 3 of the other high schools that are a part of this league. And I think after next week, we're going to really see how it shakes out and what the standings look like in terms of like the power seeding for all the teams.
Right,
Hickman has came in, though, originally seeded first among all 4 of the squads all 4 of the teams that are in this league, and we'll see if they can keep up to that standard.
Currently for jungle starts, red side, which will be played by Hickman High School. They will be starting closer to the red buff, whereas more standard start for Rockbridge High School.
So here we go. We're going to talk about it again one more time for all the parents out there in the crowd that might not know who everyone is. In the top lane for Rockbridge's A squad, we have Andrew Vexq playing Maokai, the Giant Tree Man. We have Jeffrey Galaxy Fox Mullen playing Jarvan the Fourth, the king with the giant spear, essentially. He actually plays this champion a lot, and I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot of highlights coming out of him throughout this game. Next in the mid lane, we have Justin Kill XL Jang playing one of the signature picks, Cassiopeia, the Serpent Lady, as well as right out again in the bot lane, we have Jin, a masked kind of sniper sort of figure, as well as Janna, currently in a kind of a weather broadcaster kind of skin. We're actually seeing some damage coming out in the bot lane right now. Good damage coming out on the support, Braum for Hickman. Good trade, and both supports take a lot of damage, but I'd say that trade is in favor of
Rockbridge.
Rockbridge. Great aggression coming out of the Rockbridge side. They secure first blood.
I guess those Jin buffs did come in handy, don't they?
We see a flash forward by the support for Rockbridge's side. He's a very aggressive Janna player normally, and it's that kind of stuff. We see more engage coming out in the bot lane. Good pick with the tornado. A lot of poke coming out from Janna. She's a lot of pressure in lane, and they might bully the Vayne out of lane here.
So that bot lane, of course, made up by Michael and Sean playing the forced flash by Gosu bot. They try to go aggressive in the bot lane, because that's really where they have the advantage against Matthew, who is playing Vayne, a very late game champion. She doesn't really scale up in damage until after she's got her items, after maybe around the 25-minute mark.
So again, on the Hickman side, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Michael Zhou, the top laner for Hickman High School, the star, last season ranked Diamond 1. We'll see what we can do on the Scion pick, a very meta top laner. You see him with the giant hammer here and the funny orange color. No one really likes the color of the skin, but it's just worthwhile to note that it's still kind of cool. On the other side, we have Bo Quet YVX. He is playing the Boar Lady, the jungler for Hickman's side. Kind of a different pick than he picked last week. He actually played Jarvan the Fourth last week, kind of a more damage style, but he was one of the primary sources of engage, which Sejuani fulfills pretty well. We have How 1 in the mid lane, also playing Ari, the same kind of nine-tailed fox lady that was played last game by Alec. We'll see how he does on this champion as well. More of a mobile assassin kind of pick. So we'll see. At least he has more self-peel on his side of the ball. We're seeing some action in the top side of the map. Looks like Andrew has been caught out by Bo and Michael. He's doomed. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to escape here. He gets rooted by the rub coming up from How. How 1 also secures the kill on Andrew. A kill going over to Hickman. Good communication always from Hickman. They are always roaming, always there to turn the numbers around in their advantage. And of course, we can't forget Matthew Gosubot in the bot lane. He was a platinum tier AD carry in the last season. Also a very familiar face. He's been on their team for a while. And then the sub is actually currently playing on Cookie's account, Renee's account. She was not feeling well, so we have the sub Sam Broderson playing Braum in the bot lane as well. They're eating a lot of pressure. It's something we thought we'd see a lot of from the Jin, and also from a very aggressive pick like Janna. Sean likes to play a very aggressive style Janna, always poking, always dealing damage. And they're doing a really good job of keeping the Vayne and the Braum really low, preventing her from keeping up in CS and scaling. They actually have to recall. We see a flash coming out of Michael. Also a very aggressive AD carry. They secure another kill in the bot lane. That's a 2-0 start for Michael, and we're only 5 minutes into the game.
Not afraid to take turret shots. He secures his second kill in the game. Increases his CS differential 10 CS above Matthew Perkins in the bottom lane. Now I think it's time to see how Hickman responds to Rockbridge having such a huge advantage so early in the game.
Also, good trade in the mid lane. Cassiopeia, more mechanically intensive champion. Good kiting coming out from Justin to probably win that trade against How in the mid lane. Also, Vexq, Andrew, very aggressive in the top lane. Not intimidated by Dark Quacker, who is pretty well known throughout this league.
Yeah, because they're both tanky champions right now, it is that typical wet noodle fight. No matter how many abilities they throw out, it's going to take a while before either of them goes down. So maybe relying on a gank from the allied jungler, both Jeffrey Mullen and Bo. A little dancing going around bot lane. So, based off of my predictions from what happened last week, I could definitely see, even though Rockbridge High School's bot lane has the advantage right now, they need to be wary of when the mid laner from Hickman and their top laner roam down or teleport into their lane. We hear the callouts as we are casting right now, very vocal about when they notice their enemy top laner or enemy mid laner missing from lane. They can ping, hey, watch out, we don't see their mid laner. We don't see Michael up in the top. Be careful, don't go for that engages, don't commit too hard, because it can quickly turn around if they come and help them.
So we're 7 minutes into the game, and we see Rockbridge starting to pull ahead in this game. Even though they're only up by 1 kill in the bot lane, they're up by 10 CS in the mid lane. He's actually up by 30 CS. Justin Zhang, he is actually a senior for Rockbridge High School. He's pretty far ahead right now this hour. He's poking around, he's winning these trades, and he's up almost 30 CS. More engages coming out in the bot lane here.
And here's
So much
that
we see
TP.
the first TP coming out of Michael. Dark Quacker turning into a 3v2. Great flash coming out of Sean. He's able to escape, wasting the flash of Michael. Good job by Rockbridge to coordinate. Oh, we see Justin Galaxy Fox Mullen coming in with a giant ultimate. Turn that fight around. That's 2 kills going over in favor of Rockbridge.
Beautiful re-engage, and the fight continues right now as Dark Quacker is just trying to save his own life. Will not be able to do that. Justin KillXL, the mid lane player, able to roam down and get that extra kill. That would be a 3-for-1. Is that a 3-for-1 trade, I believe?
Yeah. We highlighted the wrong person there. We want to highlight. That was a great engage by Jeffrey Galaxy Fox Mullen there. Again, another senior for Rockbridge High School. Great counter gank coming in by him there and secure the ultimate and picking up 3 kills for his team.
Yeah, able to recognize that he is now level 6. He's got his ultimate ability. That was that giant crater. You saw the character that Jeffrey is playing called Jarvan 4. He pretty much jumps up in the air and slams into the ground, dealing a massive area of effect damage, cleaning up the kills in the bot lane. And hopefully with that lead, he can now start doing his typical aggressive jungling strategy, invading the rival Sejuani.
Yeah, so far, Rockbridge is pulling ahead here. And not just like we've seen before in some games, like Griffin City at one point securing First Blood here. Actually, they didn't secure First Blood, but just in general, they were able to secure some kills and some pressure on the map. Rockbridge is actually pulling together some really good macro plays. We saw the typical TP coming out of Dark Quacker in the top lane, and Rockbridge responded effectively, turning that into a 3-for-0 trade.
Yeah, again, great flash to avoid the Scion ultimate. That was from Jaehong, Sean Yu. Sejuani jumping over the Dragon Pit and taking a few shots. Much worth in terms of getting out of there and not giving another kill over to Rockbridge High School. CS differentials getting even larger in the mid lane. That would be, again, Justin Zhang over How playing Ahri tonight. Ahri still has 1 kill as well. We're about to see another gank.
Jeffrey Galaxy Fox Mullen gets the ultimate, stops Scion from escaping with his ultimate. We see Andrew coming out with his ultimate. They're locking down Dark Quacker in the top lane.
Back, forces a flash.
Oh, we might see a turnaround here. Doesn't look like they secure anything, and Michael Dark Quacker is able to escape. Great ultimate though by Jeffrey to stop the ultimate coming out from Dark Quacker, forcing him to flash instead. So that gank wasn't for naught.
So now with Michael's flash blown, Andrew can now pressure a little bit harder because he has his own flash. Again, great job from the jungler and top lane for Rockbridge High School, coordinating, stacking their crowd control abilities. You know, first comes the J4 ult, then comes Andrews.
We see curtain call coming out from Michael X Sim. They secure the kill on the Braum. Are they going to lock down the Vayne as well? And he does.
Goodness.
That's a double kill going in favor of Michael X Sim. He's now 4-0. Right now the carry, the AD carry for Rockbridge High
Landing
School.
every single one of those shots. Again, Jin, the character that Michael was playing, has an ultimate ability called Curtain Call, where he has super long range, the last shot being a critical hit to deliver even more damage.
He is getting ahead, and that's what he needs to do. For a lane boy like Jin, he needs to keep pressuring out this Vayne, which needs time to scale. And so he's doing his job. He got the first tower, and how can they translate that across the map? They need to end this game. Personally, Rockbridge, I think, needs to end this game, before GoSubot's able to get that gold, get those items to scale up. Kind of in reverse from the side of Rockbridge last time, where they had Jinx. Riley was playing Jinx, the hyper carry AD carry. She needed time to scale and get those items. And this time it's on Hickman's side to funnel those resources into GoSubot so that he can get his items and be that carry that they need. Yeah, so again, we do want to highlight again that they do have a substitute on the side of Hickman's squad. Sam Broderson is subbing in for Cookie, and so there might be like a synergy mix-up there. Not your traditional support and the last-second trade-off. So that might have some effect on kind of what's going on down there in the bot lane, as well as the hyper-aggressive lane that is Michael and Sean.
But even without that substitution...
Oh, we're seeing a great engage coming out from Hickman. It's a 4v2 in the mid lane. Jeffrey stops the ultimate from Darkquacker. He's going to go down, though, locks him in with his Cataclysm so that he can't follow up, or the rest of Hickman's squad can't follow up with Darkquacker, sacrificing himself to save Justin. Thank you, Jeffrey. Sacrifice, I'm sure, is much appreciated by Justin. But again, those are coordinated plays that we've come to expect out of Hickman. That was a four-man gank, four-man dive out of mid lane, or into mid lane, just out of the blue, out of nowhere. All of a sudden, there were 4 people there, and Justin was he wasn't expecting it.
And I think they can expect much more of that to happen as the game goes on. Again, Hickman very good. Coach Ben Bruce teaching him very well on how to maximize their numbers, strengthen numbers across the map.
Yep. For Rockbridge's side, this is what we want to see. We're seeing the great rotation from bot side. They already got that tower, so they can now send 3. They're send their bot laners mid and make it a 3v2, 3v1, whatever the situation is, because GoSubot has to stay bot to continue farming, respond to those waves, and now they can pressure this mid tower. And that's what you want to see when a lane gets ahead, gets a lead. You want to see them translate that across the map, whether that be rotating, whether that be lane swapping. You need to use your numbers to your advantage here.
Something we didn't mention for those new to League of Legends, Rockbridge was able to destroy the first tower on the map, which gives bonus gold to all team members. Just another way to get ahead in gold. Currently with a 4,000 gold lead at 14 minutes in the game, 7 kills to 3. Rockbridge has definitely pulled away.
Yeah, Justin's ahead by 30 CS, 40 CS. The CS lead's pretty even in the bot lane, although Michael is ahead by 4 kills. And actually, even Andrew is ahead in CS on Michael in the top lane. Darkquacker. Jeffrey being very cheeky, going for his traditional jungle invades. Does not secure the buff, but he does escape with his life.
And that's what Jeffrey does so well. The ability to invade and to scare the enemy jungler, to bring fright, or at least force wards into their own jungle, that's Jeffrey's specialty. And because he is actually ahead this time, unlike we saw in the B team matchup, he's got that presence where he is a threat. And so you do have to be careful to not get surprised or cheesed by a champion like Jarvan 4, who does a good amount of damage early game.
So I really like what they just did there. So this game is also all about waving. Okay, we're seeing another engagement top lane. Jeffrey catches Michael in the top side. Darkquacker, they see a tiny engage. Doesn't look like Andrew's going to follow up. Jeffrey's kind of teasing him, walking him around, being kind of cheeky. Doesn't look like they're going to find anything, though. We also see the bot lane of Rockbridge roaming up in the topside river. Doesn't look like there's going to be anything else further. They're going to keep pressuring the mid tower.
I will say Hickman is doing a very good job defending at this point with their backs against the wall. They've been able to keep up both turrets
We're not
despite
seeing
being
their...
behind. And I would like to see maybe something like a Dragon or a Rift Herald play pretty soon coming from Rockbridge High School. They know they can push the waves out, they can get priority in the river, and maybe secure an objective. But as you can see, Sejuani able to fully ward up Dragon Pit just in case.
Oh, another great... Michael is dealing so much damage. They found a quick pick on GoSubot, and they wipe him. And I'll say, this is a very probably unfamiliar experience for Hickman's A squad. Normally, they're the ones that are dictating the pace of the game. They're the ones that are roaming around, having that macro presence. And Now the tables have been turned, and they're being a little bit more passive than from what we normally expect. We usually see them finding the picks, finding the plays, and we see 3 players right now on Hickman's side standing around this tower trying to defend it and not being proactive and making plays around the map. They have to play pretty reactionary now.
We should note that Rockbridge was one of the last teams in the Columbia Public Schools League to get their head coach, Coach Cobb. Maybe he's one of the important factors into today's matchup, able to wrangle the team together, be the objective eyes for their team to recognize how do we push our lead, how do we take advantage of what's happening right now.
So we see Rockbridge setting up around the first neutral objective being the Fire Drake in the mid lane. Hickman is trying to respond. We see Bo angling on the outside trying to steal it. It goes down though before he gets the chance to attempt the steal.
Sean, Jae-Hong, you doing a fantastic job on even a squishy champion like Jaina to kind of throw out some defensive abilities to push back the enemy jungler for any chance of a steal. It's like you said earlier, Ben, he plays a really aggressive Jaina.
So Rockbridge has taken the lead here. They're 5 kills up, 1 tower in the lead, 1 dragon in the lead, and they're up by about 6,000, 5,000 gold.
Yeah, kills are going to the right people as well.
And they're doing the right thing right now. They're saying the right people to bounce the bot waves. And so wave management is something that's a little bit more advanced for players as they get along in this game. But they're keeping their AD carry mid. They're keeping the stronger player, the Jhin, in the mid lane to pressure that tower, sending Justin, the Cassiopeia, the Snake Lady, in the bot lane to bounce that wave so that Hickman in return can't take that bot tower. And so keeping those waves pressure, keeping Hickman bouncing back and forth to respond while at the same time, Rockbridge is able to maximize their resources and funneling the resources where they need to go onto the carries and pressuring the towers. And that's what you need to do when you have this lead. You need to translate that lead, put the numbers on the map, and take objectives.
Absolutely.
So hopefully they take down this mid tower as quickly as they can. Ooh, we see a charm coming out of How, finding the pick on Kill XL. Not a lot of damage though. Instead, Jeffrey's coming out with a huge engage, finds the kill on Sam Broderson. Ends up being a free trade. Jan's going a little bit deep here. With that pick though on the Braum, can Rockbridge find the tower?
Yeah, it's only got a little bit of health left. An interesting point I wanted to make is if you look at the matchups right now, Vision score is going, except for the top lane, Vision score is going heavily in favor of Rockbridge High School. Dropping down control wards, those are those little mini towers you see.
Ooh, big engage coming out, a Dark Whacker. But exactly what we expect out of the Jan, a huge ultimate coming out to knock them all away. They're still finding the kills though. Hickman's still continuing this fight. Gosupot picks up a kill. Andrew TP is probably a little bit late, but finds 2 kills in return. He's coming around from behind. Also picks up the kill at Gosupot. But Matthew's able to pick up 3 kills in return onto that Vayne.
3-for-3 trade overall. 3 kills going for Matthew Perkins playing Vayne tonight. That's actually going to be huge for Hickman as he gets his items, scales up again. You don't want to see that champion late game because she does so much damage. Meanwhile, Rockbridge also doing their job protecting their AD carry, who is currently 7 kills, 0 deaths, and 4 assists. Michael playing under the gamertag XM, playing Jhin tonight. He's doing a great job. Let's take a look at the replay.
So we're waiting here. They're around the tower. They're angling around to try to take it. Dark Whacker finds the engage with his ultimate on Sion, like we expect. Huge ultimate coming out of Sean, though, to disengage. And we see a late TP coming out of Andrew, but it ends up being probably with the perfect timing. Both How and Bo were trying to escape with low health. He finds both kills on that end and is able to turn this into a 4v2. Gosubot does pick up 3 kills in return, but they end up wiping most of Hickman and able to take that mid tower in return. Thanks again to Veterans United for bringing to you guys the instant replays of the night. Thank you, VU. We wouldn't be able to have this without you.
Absolutely.
All right.
Sean Yu getting picked out. Was not expecting Gosubot to be
and
there.
And he finds the kill. I gotta say, that was probably a crit. Triple proc on the Silver Bolts to secure the kill on Janna. She had probably a third of her health left. And that's what we're talking about. Gosubot was 0-3 in this game, and all of a sudden now he's 4-4. And that's the scaling hypercarry AD carry that Hickman needs him to beat. Matthew is traditionally a very carry-oriented player, and that's just what he does. And he's usually at the forefront of the damage coming out from Hickman's side. And now that he's getting big, that's going to be a big concern for Rockbridge's side of the ball.
We can only imagine what's going through Rockbridge's mind. Of course, they had the early game lead, and after that last team fight, followed by that random pick on Sean, We're wondering if they're trying to wrangle it back in. Maybe not get super excited or too careless in their engages.
And so now Hickman is still behind by about 7,000 gold, but they're starting to dictate this game. We see them grouping in the top lane, forcing Rockbridge to respond. Doesn't look like they're going to do anything, though. We see Matthew recalling to respond to the wave in the bot lane. Now that turns into a 4v5 top. They don't have their carry, so this might be Rockbridge's chance to convert that into a tower. That's what this game's all about, wave control. That's a macro play that you probably don't see as much. You talk about the ganks, you talk about the roaming, but just controlling your side waves can really dictate when a team can fight. Matthew is not there. He has to respond to that bot wave, so he's leaving his teammates in a 4v5 situation topside. Actually, 4v4, Justin was also pushing the mid wave.
Justin now starting to roam up. This will be a 5 versus 4 situation in favor of Rockbridge High School as Matthew still continues to push that bot wave out. We'll see if an engage comes in, which I think they should, because they've got all their damage, they've got all their characters.
And Matthew is looking like he's in no rush to roam back up to his team. He's just recalling now. He won't get up there for at least another 15-20 seconds. On the flip side, though, we see a huge engage coming out of Jeffrey. Gets the Cataclysm, locks them all together on top of the curtain call. That's what Jin wants to see, and they wipe him for free. Looks like
kills to 0, taking down the top lane turret as well for just a little bit of extra gold. Michael Joe backing out as Scion, and Matthew continuing to dance between top and mid lane, deciding where to go after that team fight.
And look like they're translating that right into Baron.
This is a very aggressive call with death timers being a little bit on the shorter side than normal. 22-minute Baron.
This is what we want to see. These are the really quick macro decision calls that a team needs to make to not let the other team get back in the game. And Rockbridge is doing an excellent job taking advantage of their lead, rotating efficiently.
That works out in their favor.
Yeah.
Baron, that serpent-like boss monster you saw, by the way. Let's watch the instant replay first.
Again, like we said before, they're stuck in a situation where they have to defend this tower. And Rockbridge sees their minions coming up to the tower. They see a good chance to engage. And Jeffrey, Galaxy Fox Bolin, finds a pretty large Cataclysm, blocking 3 of them stuck, and allowing for Michael to put his curtain call over top, launch those ultimates, and Hickman can't do anything. They're stuck inside that Cataclysm. They can't do anything. They lose the tower, and then in turn also lose the bear.
Right. Meanwhile, using his ultimate to heal everyone under turret. And as they're stuck in that Cataclysm, Cassiopeia can just throw down her abilities and stack damage right on top of it.
Yeah, so these were macro plays that we have not seen before from Rockbridge. We see a lot of times they do a good job of kind of getting good ganks, getting good roams, and they find some kills here and there, but they don't know how to end a game. That's traditionally been what Rockbridge struggles with the most. They don't know how to end a game. But right now, we're seeing some macro plays and some rotations that aren't very, they're not... We don't usually see that. We don't usually expect it from Rockbridge.
I would assume that their head coach, Coach Cobb, is very proud, as well as their eSports club sponsor, who could not be here tonight, Kyle Resnicek, probably watching from home with his kids.
We'll see here, though, if they can actually close out this game now. They have all the tools. They have the Baron. Can they pressure this and turn this into towers? Or are they going to be your traditional Rockbridge, and they're going to let it stall out, and they might lose this game here? I don't know. But from what they've demonstrated in the last couple of minutes, that's like a whole new team here. They're now pressuring the mid tower. Another engage coming out of Jeffrey. He's very tanky. He's very strong, scaling up in this game. So he's able to do that and not take much damage. They find a good trade onto
Gosu body gets pushed right out under any turret danger. Meanwhile, Andrew Vexq playing Maokai, the giant tree ent champion, pushing the bottom lane with his own Baron buff. That objective that they took earlier, the big serpent, gives all of their minions that are around them an extra boost. Another dive coming in.
Very good decision. Michael was actually in the bot lane, Dark Whacker. So this is a situation where they didn't have the Diamond 1 top laner, and they found another pick under tower. And that's the thing. Right now, the Jin, Michael X Sim, the AD character for Rockbridge, is so strong. He's 8-0 and 6 right now, and he's staying so far back. That's just what his champion does. He's kind of like a sniper kind of marksman. And I don't think Hickman has the tools to get to him. He's just able to sit in the backline and deal damage. I don't know what Hickman's response is going to be in the short term to deal with that. Because right now they need to wave clear, they need to scale, and I don't think their team has that.
So right after collecting the second tower mid lane, they instantly rotate top lane, collecting yet another tower, giving them a 6-0 tower lead, which puts their gold advantage at 47,000 to Hickman's 34.
Well, we see Gosu bot finding a pick on Jeffrey. He's able to escape though. But in return, Ghostbot does burn his ultimate. That's pretty necessary for team fighting. So I doubt Hickman's going to want to fight for the next minute or so, minute and a half.
Meanwhile, Rockbridge's objective is to go back using the Baron fast recall to get right back into the action, buy up their items, prepare for another pick or another team fight because they've got their comp pretty pretty down pat. A huge engage coming in from Jeffrey Mullen, playing that Jarvan 4 character, followed by a really nice heal over time from Sean Jae-Hong Yu. Meanwhile, you've got Kill Excel in the back line as well as Michael playing Jin, just chipping away at whoever is stuck in that Cataclysm.
Yeah, and so we didn't talk really about it before, but the Baron thing, one of the neutral monsters that we talked about, is usually what teams use to end a game. And it basically empowers a lot of the minions and kind of gives the other champions on the team more ability power, more attack damage so that they're stronger in these pushes. And when a team secures a Baron, that's usually when they try to push down objectives.
Looks like we do have a pause coming up pretty soon before the game wraps up. Let's go take care of that.
Yes, but going back to the Baron again, I think Rockbridge did an excellent job managing their time with the Baron. What they did with it. So they set one champion bot lane. They set Andrew in the bot lane to super and empower those minions. Bot. We see another huge engage coming out of Jeffrey. Again, once again, locking them in place so that Michael can unload on them with the curtain call. We see a great disengage, though, coming out of Sam Broderson with the Braum ultimate. Rockbridge doesn't actually pick up any kills, but they're pretty low. They're going to need a recall to get some of their health back if they want to be healthy enough to fight. We see the Redemption coming down to heal Rockbridge's players, and they're going to continue to siege this tower. Again, great engage by Jeffrey, Galaxy Fox Mullen on top of the curtain call. That's the kind of synergy we saw last week, actually. Last week, Bo and Hao, they played a similar composition with the J4 and the Lux, where they'd lock each other down and then use their ultimates. And I think Rockbridge took a page out of their playbook, so they're executing it pretty dang well. Jeffrey actually goes a little too deep. He gets caught out under tower. See counter engage coming out from Dark Quacker. Ults in, and they're chasing down the rest of Rockbridge. They're trying to disengage. Andrew has to burn his splash to try to escape. He still might go down. Hickman is in fast pursuit. Looks like he's going to go down. They have too much CC. That's kind of what the team looks like. Yeah, he's a real tanky tree, though. Ghostbot picks up another kill. So, even though Rockbridge had a great engage on all of that, looks like Hickman's able to turn it around.
And that might be a factor.
Oh. So this was actually after Jeffrey was able to get that huge engage and deal all that damage. She goes in again, gets a little bit caught, gets condemned to the wall, takes too much tower damage, and Hickman actually runs down the rest of Rockbridge. Even though they were low, one bad engage by Galaxy Fox kind of turned that all around. They were able to find the picks on the right champions, and the rest of Rockbridge dispersed. They might have been able to fight that out, but it didn't look like the rest of their team was able to follow up, and Hickman finds 2 kills in return.
Right. One thing to note about that tower dive specifically that time is that they did not have their mid laner Justin there to throw down even more damage or even to disengage or to throw down her ability, which prevents any sort of leap or any sort of movement crossing that barrier that you see on the screen right now.
Yeah, so that's the thing, though. Again, Jeffrey being a very aggressive kind of player, he likes to make the calls for his team, finds those engages. He tried doing it again, though, without his ultimate. So they had just engaged previously. They got a lot of the enemy Hickman players low, and they probably thought maybe they could do it again, but they didn't have their ultimates. So Hickman was able to turn that around instead and repel them. And that's not what Rockbridge wants to do. Letting Hickman get a foothold back in this game that's going to be an issue. That's going to be an issue because that's another kill over to Ghostbot. He's now 5-4-1. He's scaling up. He's got 2 items.
Right, and that's the trick when it comes to, we finally have our pause going on. Again, a computer had crashed and is to wail on Rockbridge High School. Meanwhile,
Look
many
at all
wards
in the
dropped
back
by
of the
Hickman.
Baron
Every
pit.
single one of them denied by the control ward in Baron Pit. So despite 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wards by Hickman, they cannot see it.
Ooh, we see 2 smites coming out. Both junglers miss the smite. It's the Janna actually secures the Baron, and we see the similar kind of engage that we've seen for the last couple of minutes out of Rockbridge, taking down 3 members. So not only do Rockbridge secure the Baron, but they also pick up 3 kills in return.
Yeah, they were fully confident in their Baron call, able to stand their ground. As soon as they saw anyone fly over that Baron pit, they said, go, go, go. Picked up 2 kills, picked up a later kill after that heavy engage, and this is exactly what Rockbridge needed.
Hopefully they pick up 1 inhib, maybe 2 inhibitors. At this point in the game, that will allow them to start pressuring the rest of the map and close it out. Start suffocating them, moving their vision up, looking for those
bot,
picks.
I'm assuming. Yes,
Yep.
that's exactly what they're going to do with only a fraction, a sliver of health for that tower. They will take the second inhibitor turret, which means that now on top of the super minions, thanks to Baron buff, we see a mid and bottom lane super minion wave spawning right now.
Yep. There's not a lot you can do at this point. They don't have a lot of wave clear on their side of the ball. So like we said before, here's the engage coming out. Rockbridge or Hickman actually cannot see the Baron. They cannot see inside of the pit. So we see Bo, the Sejuani, the giant boar lady, trying to go and steal it. Comes in a little too early. We see 2 smites coming out. Both junglers miss their smites, and Jana actually secures the Baron for the team. Great ultimate coming out from Jeffrey Galaxy Fox Mullen. Lock them down. They pick up 3 kills, and as we know what happens after that, runs down mid lane, picks up 2 inhibitors. Can't imagine this game lasting much longer.
Would love to give a quick shout out to Sean Jae-Hong Yu, also throwing a fantastic whirlwind.
It doesn't look like this game is going to last much longer with 2 inhibitors down on the bot and the mid side of the map. Imagine Rockbridge is going to go top lane instead, empower those minions with their Baron, and run it down, secure that last inhibitor, maybe 1 more team fight, and that'll probably be the end of this game here.
We're kind of seeing a mirror of what happened in the first game between both B teams for Hickman and Rockbridge. With 2 inhibitor turrets down and a Baron buff, they're now pushing the remaining inhibitor turret.
Ooh. They're diving them underneath this tower before they even get there. Andrew Vexcu's very tanky. He's running down. Matthew goes to bot. He's trying his best to kite him out. He goes down, though. Andrew picks up 2 kills. There's only 2 people remaining on this team, both being Michael, Dark Quacker, and Bo with Sejuani. I don't think they have the abilities to defend this Nexus here.
And
Looks
with
like it's
all
gonna be
5
game.
players on Rockbridge still alive, both turrets down, Nexus is going down, will go down, thanks to these super minions. 1 final attempt from their jungler, but to no avail, no success.
Justin picks up another return kill.
And that's it.
Rockbridge
Congratulations, Rockbridge Varsity High School. You are the victors for week 2 against Hickman. Great job.
Yeah, with that is the last game of the night for the first day of games in week 2. Rockbridge, surprising, I will say surprisingly, because
Yeah,
they were the
kudos,
underdogs.
huge kudos.
This is the first time they've ever taken a game off of Hickman's squad, and they're ending this week 2-0. Hickman A will go on to next week 1-1, hopefully to take on, I believe they're taking on Battle High School next week. Hopefully to right the ship again, get another win on the board. But for the most part, that was pretty unexpected.
For sure. Again,
Rockbridge is a new team from what they were last week.
oh yes. Again, kudos to Coach Cobb, the recent sign-on coach for Rockbridge High School, able to coordinate their team together. They've been practicing like crazy for this match, as well as mad respect to eSports club sponsor Kyle Resnicek, who has been nothing but supportive of these players as they continue their high school eSports careers. Ladies and gentlemen, that will be all for us tonight. I hope you enjoyed this event despite the few technical issues. We had a fantastic game. We had arguably an upset or an underdog victory tonight. Ben, you want to add anything before we sign out?
No, with that, again, very happy that the league is shaking out the way it is. Teams are improving, players are improving, and very excited to see what it's like at Jefferson City. On Friday, we will actually be at Jefferson City. For those of you who have come to Ukatsu the last couple of nights, we will not be at our usual venue, but we will be setting up in the Little Cedar in Jefferson City High School at the same time. So hope to see you then. Thank you again, guys, for tuning in. Shout out again to our sponsors, them being Hawthorne Bank, Veterans United, Armstrong Teasdale LLP, and our title sponsor, Columbia College. Wouldn't be possible without them, and would be possible without all of you. Thank you for tuning in. Have a good night, guys.